It's Wednesday, October 22nd, and currently Tropical Storm Melissa is a very interesting case. We really are not quite sure where it's going to go after this weekend. As we can see from Tuesday, which was yesterday, all the way up until Saturday, it's really not expected to move that far, kind of in the realm of less than 150 nautical miles. Now, this slow movement means a couple of bad things for southern Haiti and Jamaica. This storm will have quite a bit of time to really deepen down and strengthen in the Caribbean, which is currently a pretty favorable environment for strengthening of tropical systems. And it also means that both these areas will be receiving potentially dangerous amounts of rainfall. This could even potentially go for Cuba. But as we can see, there's kind of this little stippled area right here that's not really shaded in all the way. This is where Hurricane Melissa, which it will be at this point, could go. It could really go anywhere in this circle. So right now there's not really a high amount of certainty where it's going to go. As for potential impacts to the United States, that's still looking not super likely, but we definitely want to watch this storm over the next couple of days. And even in the models, we can see that there's a lot of uncertainty going on. This is the Euro, and it's kind of painting that same exact picture that we're seeing with the National Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty, where it's kind of just going to go up here in between Jamaica and Haiti, just sit and deepen down and strengthen. This almost actually exactly follows their cone of uncertainty. And then we can actually see some of the main steering factors. The main thing is going to be this very strong ridge up here in parts of the southeast, just kind of keeping it down here in the Caribbean, not really letting it move. And then this little low pressure system behind it will have the chance to maybe swoop it away, take it out to sea. But as for right now, it's kind of just too early to tell. And then for the GFS model, definitely painting a very different story. It's saying that Hurricane Melissa is going to be gone out into the Atlantic by potentially Saturday this week, and we're really not going to have to worry about it, and that there's really going to be no more threats after it as well. Then for intensity, that's also something that we're looking at, which could be different. This is one of our hurricane models, the HMON, potentially bringing Melissa down to category 4, maybe even category 5 strength. Now, I want to take this with a very light grain of salt, actually, because this is really the only model that's seen Melissa strengthen this much. A lot of the other models are still bringing it down to around a 960, 955 millibar storm, though. So Melissa could have the potential to get strong, and that could also impact where it steers itself as well. But as for right now, we're not really super sure where this is going to go after this week. So definitely want to stay very aware and kind of keep our eyes out for those updates on Tropical Storm Melissa right now, but it will be Hurricane Melissa very, very soon. But luckily on the domestic front, there's not really any severe weather expected in the United States today. We do have a couple of areas which are expected to see some thunderstorms. One is going to be up here in the northeast New England, one down here in the southwest, something small near the far southern coast, kind of Gulf Coast area of Texas, actually, and then once again, southern Florida. I think the most interesting areas to look at, which aren't just going to be your regular routine afternoon thunderstorms, are going to be the southwest and then the northeast. And starting in the northeast, we're going to see a little bit of a low pressure system, and then there's also going to be a lot of flow from a trough moving through. It's kind of why we're seeing this messy all over the place kind of thunderstorm system. We see a couple of isolated lines get going. Of course, we see a lot of showers that you're going to be waking up to if you're in New England, moving off to the north and east really quickly. The main thing with these are just going to be a lot of rain, maybe a couple of stronger wind gusts within that, but I don't really think that's going to be it. I think the main thing is going to be this line, which is expected to develop right before lunch, kind of on the far eastern border of New York. Then this is also going to move up to the north and east, kind of following where these little wind vectors are, really kind of just riding up that trough. Then another area I want to look at, this is going to be closer to that low pressure system. It's going to be this other line down here, closer to parts of northern Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. This is also going to kind of ride up that trough, but it's also going to dissipate somewhat quickly after it moves off of one of the Great Lakes. Now, these are going to be the main things, and I think the main thing with this may be a couple of isolated strong wind gusts. Nothing severe though. It's mainly going to be limited by just the lack of instability out here, but there is going to be some pretty decent shear present that's going to be aiding with that. And moving down to the southwest, it's going to be a really interesting thing that's kind of going on. We're going to have a bit of a short wave moving in that's going to kind of come off of the Pacific, then move inland. A lot of scattered potential thunderstorms. We see loads of blips try to get going. Don't really think anything is going to be severe today. I don't really think anything's going to really get going until the afternoon hours. It looks like one of our hot spots could potentially be on the Arizona, New Mexico border right about here. I also don't think we're going to see anything severe today. Maybe a couple of isolated strong wind gusts. Our relative humidity is going to be really low, so maybe some evaporative cooling aiding in strengthening those winds, and our storms are going to be higher based as well, which also aids with the strengthening of our downdrafts. So maybe a couple of isolated areas receiving some kind of temporary strong wind gusts. Don't really think we're going to see anything severe though. Maybe a dry microburst would be in play today, but also I definitely wouldn't bet on that either. But it looks like things are going to change a little bit as we go into the later hours. Our main area of activity is going to kind of shift a little bit north and east along our trough into parts like Utah, Colorado, and then parts of northern New Mexico. These blips, same thing, not really expected to be anything severe through the night hours, just some rain, maybe a couple of isolated stronger wind gusts, but even at that, I'm not really expecting a ton of that tonight. Now, as we go into tomorrow, Thursday, things are going to get interesting. We could see the shortwave potentially produce a couple of isolated cells. Now with this, I think these storms are going to be a little bit higher based right now. So I think we could be looking at maybe an area receiving a damaging wind threat and then potentially some pretty nice hail as well. Another thing with these storms, even today, is that the shear isn't going to be bad. Our bulk shear is going to be around that 35 to 40 knots area, also aiding storms and helping to get organized. Just not really expecting that because there's not really a whole lot of instability out here, kind of like in the Northeast. But I think we're definitely going to want to watch for tomorrow. There's already a marginal risk in place for that. And I think we could maybe see it elevated as we get closer. The final thing we're going to look at today is our jet stream. Here is that short wave in the southwest. This is going to provide a lot of organizing shear and forcing for those storms. Once again, don't really think we're going to see too much get going today. Maybe a couple of isolated stronger wind gusts, even if that. And then up here in the Northeast, once again, just way more flow, just kind of allowing to potentially see some forcing. We see a couple of embedded kinks in here, kind of helping to get those storms going. And then even closer to that low pressure center, we might actually see a couple of storms kind of get forced up as well along an area of some frontal activity. Also, don't really think we're going to see anything more than a couple of strong wind gusts, even if that up there either. So really nothing that crazy going on in the weather today. And it's mainly just going to be those two areas that I mentioned in the southwest and the northeast.